cuts upfield, touchdown FIU. Maurice Alexander makes it a two-score game.
This is the CUSA way. Watch us be competitive, unique, strong, and athletic. We're driven. We're passionate. We're champions. This is the CUSA way.
Morgan's going to pass. Morgan to the end zone. Touchdown FIU. It's Anthony Jones.
I like to show the guys at the next level that, I could catch. I actually came in as a receiver, coming in as a freshman. So I like to show my hands off a little bit, let them know I could be in on third down, get out there in the slot and things like that.
Here's Jones, another carry. Anthony Jones will not be denied. Into the end zone again.
By week, we snapped back like, we came together as a team, the captain. We set a standard to all the young guys, and, we got this thing going. And we just playing like the team that we know we could play like, and the team that we trained like the whole summer with Coach Chad Smith.
Jones up the middle. There goes Anthony Jones. Daylight, end zone. Anthony Jones, another touchdown for the senior.
Man, that boy fast. First, as you can see here, ball up the middle. Oh, man, I tell you, that was a great block by the center right there, Connell, and he just took it off to the races.
The guys up front, man, like they always do, they got great push. We stayed on our read spot and just executed the plays that coach called. We're great backs. We have a great O-line, and I just love running with Napoleon. He's my roommate. We stay together. Roomies at the hotel, so, we just watch film, see how the defense moves, see how the linebackers flow, and, we hit it and see what we got to see.
Here's Anthony Jones, already has 3 touchdowns. Make it 4, Kenny. Anthony Jones, a career high, 4 touchdowns. One of the many stars of a Saturday nights on homecoming for FIU. Jones begins to prepare for the Miners of UTEP, perhaps a third straight 100-yard game in mind. We say good morning to you in good spirits from Miami. Program records for the second straight week tested and met. The most recent performance from number 2, tying him with Rashad Smith and a guy named T.Y. for the most touchdowns in a game. You wanted a bounce back from the gold and blue? That process is in motion with the mindsets of 1-0 weeks on repeat ingrained. You know the drill. It's a Monday morning at the GC. We're live. We're streaming on a Facebook page near you. Always glad to be alongside Butch Davis. I'm AJ Ricketts, and Coach, congratulations on another win, a homecoming win. You don't lose on homecoming. I don't know if you care or not, but you're 11-1 now, so a happy homecoming week for you.
Thank you, AJ. It was a great performance by the kids, and I really, a lot of times you don't get a chance to say this, but our assistant coaches and our staff over the last 3 weeks have done a phenomenal job. I mean, really pushing the kids in practice, helping them understand how they can continue to get better, how to focus, how to minimize the things that hurt us early in the season where we kind of shot ourselves in the foot. And proud of them, proud of the kids. They've worked hard, and then the performance on Saturday night was absolutely outstanding.
It's been a completely different vibe since the bye week, and the offense before the bye week against La Tech, still a terrific performance, and that has continued in the 2 weeks since against UMass, and then this past homecoming week against Charlotte. Let's talk the rush.
How about this, though?
Yeah.
The interview right there with Anthony Jones.
Yeah, how about that?
How about a year ago, would you ever dream? I mean, what an unbelievably great man that he is. He's a player, and how articulate that he was, and how much he loves that team and the teammates and stuff. And so you love seeing things happen positive for him and Mershawn Miller. It's been a great year since they've come back.
Have to keep reminding ourselves all that he actually went through and all that he has now achieved since then. Him and Mershawn, it's been pretty special to see those guys bounce back. One of the best stories in college football is on this team, and we got to remember not to take that for granted. No doubt about that. So we talk about their response. Let's talk about what they did on the ground. Anthony Jones, Napoleon Maxwell, Devontae Price, the three-headed monster combining for 317 yards. That's the kind of production you love, Coach.
It really is. I mean, anytime you can rush the football for 300 yards, you got a great chance to particularly win the football game. It makes protection for James Morgan in the passing game even that much better, because now you got everybody in the box, people playing one-on-one. But those 3 kids, and the big run that just saw where Anthony went probably 41 yards. The gaping hole, the blocking, every single guy in the front seven was completely covered up.
Yeah.
And the offensive line, the tight ends just did a great job of it. And so, you get them into the second level, they're going to be very dangerous.
Let's take a look at Anthony Jones through the first 6 games of the season and his progress, particularly the last couple for the senior from Miami Central. You look at his first couple games, and it was symbolic of the rushing attack as a whole, having trouble getting going in the spurts and the kind of explosiveness that they've wanted. But then you look at UMass and Charlotte, the carries and the yardage more than double.
Yeah, I tell you what, and you talked about the three-headed monster. I mean, Anthony kind of leads that start. He and Napoleon are 2 great senior leaders, and their performance game-wise, they're good in absolutely everything that they do. I mean, they're not like one-dimensional. I mean, they're great runners with the running game.
Yeah.
They can catch the ball in the back, and then blitz pickup. I mean, they are punishing. They do a great job helping keep James clean. So it's good to see him have that kind of success.
And he said in the press conference after, if you caught it in the first quote, he wanted to show scouts he can catch the ball too.
Exactly.
He came in as a wide receiver. He's got some hands.
He's got some hands.
He's going to show.
Good athlete.
He's going to show those off too. All right. So it was a great performance for the offense. And coach, once the defense got in a rhythm, especially in the second half, started to shut things down, especially as Charlotte was having to pass the ball from there. One of the standout guys, Alexi Jean-Baptiste, Amanda Alvarez, has more on his story.
Alexi Jean-Baptiste wasn't even cleared to play until the Louisiana Tech game on September 20th. The South Florida native from Pompano Beach spent 3 seasons at Arkansas before transferring to FIU this year. A 3-star recruit out of high school, Baptiste had offers from Miami, UNC, Kentucky, Florida, and many more schools, but chose to head to Fayetteville to play for the Razorbacks. He made 1 appearance and recorded 1 tackle before deciding to move back to the Sunshine State. Since then, Baptiste received a transfer waiver and he's finally getting his shot. He's appeared in 3 games for the Panthers, recording 8 tackles, 6 of which came from Saturday's win over Charlotte on Saturday. Not only is his waiver playing off for FIU, but he's certainly grateful for the opportunity he has received from the coaching staff. And he has said he received support from day one, the minute he stepped on campus.
Day one. Literally day one. Like the first time they met me, the boys brought me in like a family. Like they knew me since they was little.
FIU hopes that his production, along with the defensive unit, can continue rolling through the second half of the season. I send it back to you guys at the desk.
I appreciate that, Amanda. His play certainly representative of the opportunities of a number of Power 5 guys who have come into this program, and he lit a fire under the guys this past weekend.
Oh, absolutely. And I tell you what, his getting his eligibility a couple of weeks ago, he and Chris Whitaker are one of the other transfers from the University of Kentucky. We didn't even plan on them even playing this year, to be honest with you. So they weren't getting many reps with the defense. They were doing a lot of things on the scout team, which was helping our offensive line because you're blocking 2 really good football players. But now that they're getting into the rotation, it really helps us, AJ. When you go back and you look at it, we played 10 defensive linemen in the last 2 ball games, and they're all playing somewhere between 25 and 35 plays. And that way, every time they go into the game, every rep they take, they're full speed. They're rested. They got their, you can put them in certain situations.
And third down defense was terrific.
Really good. And third down was outstanding. Alexi, he's got great edge pressure, and he's strong upper body. He can get off the ball, and having him available, you saw the sack fumble that he created that obviously helped us get an immediately quick score. So that was, he's just a terrific kid to have in the team. And obviously, I love what he said because I really, truly believe that we got some great young men on our football team. And outsiders, a lot of times people kind of don't want those guys in the locker room. It's like, you're not part of our family.
Sure.
And the kids in our locker, the character, the integrity that they got, they embraced those transfers and brought them into the family, whether it was Josh Turner that came from Iowa. We've got several kids, and every single one of our guys have embraced them.
And a lot of them, it's really cool, too. It's full circle almost. It's a homecoming of sorts. A lot of these transfers grew up, here in South Florida, highly touted guys, and for whatever reason, back here and getting an opportunity. And it's really awesome to see it, and the team embrace them as well.
What's cool about it, too, AJ, is that now they're playing in a program that they can help us continue to grow the program, but now they're families. I mean, I love the idea that now when the game's over with and you win and the guys are leaving the locker room, there's moms and dads and aunts and uncles and nieces waiting for them that when they were 2,000 miles away, their families never saw them play.
Absolutely.
And so that's one of the great things about choosing to stay here in South Florida.
He had 6 tackles this past week and a tackle and a half for loss as well. Let's talk. I mentioned the defensive adjustments at the half. You know, Benny LeMay had his share of yardage in the first half, but you make your adjustments in the locker room. Second half yardage on the ground for Charlotte, just 75 yards. And against a team that leads the conference in rushing, you'll certainly take that. You forced them to pass, made some good things happen.
Well, that was the thing. You got to, against a team like that, they do have an excellent running attack, and they've had it this year. They've had it almost every single year. And if you can make them be one-dimensional, if you can shut that down and minimize that, and AJ, if the people that watched the game that came to the stadium, one of the most important things was the 2-minute drive at the end of the second quarter where we score a touchdown, and then we're going to receive the opening kickoff of the second half, and now all of a sudden that lead went from 11 to 17, and now all of a sudden that minimizes their ability to run the football. Now they have to throw. They're one-dimensional, and now the pressure and the rush. So that was a critical 2 possessions in that game.
It seems like every time Charlotte threw a punch, we were able to throw a pretty nice counter punch, whether it was, you know, the fumble forced by Alexi when they were up and starting to drive the football, and that touchdown for them at the end of the first half with about 3 minutes left. It was on a 3rd and 11, I think. So you get the sense, you know, it's a one-possession game all of a sudden almost. Big third down touchdown, and then you march down the field. And the impressive thing about, I think, 6 of those 7 touchdown drives, they were under 3 minutes. They were quick, they were efficient, they were beautiful touchdown drives.
Absolutely, and the efficiency offensively, when you're having success running the football the way in which you did, you run the ball for over 300 yards. Obviously, now then, when you need explosive big plays, and one of the things I bragged on, and I told our receivers, over the last 2 weeks, it's probably the best that they've done in the entire 3 years that I've been here of run after catch. Tony Gator and some of those guys catching an 8, 9, 10, 11 yard and then turning it into an 18, 20 yard play. Their run after catch has really been outstanding. Yeah,
we'll see Gator maybe potentially a little bit later in the top 5 on that play. I think you referenced turn to like an 8 or 9 yard play into something much more. All right, we're rolling along. A reminder that Panther Talk Live is brought to you by Florida Lumber. For over 50 years, Florida Lumber has been servicing homeowners, contractors, and handymen. Visit their showroom or floridalumber.com today. Florida Lumber, more than just lumber. All right, UTEP, they've gone back to work. The practice fields alongside the Sun Bowl in El Paso, where the Miners are putting together their game plan for Saturday nights. Here in the 305, well, we're just looking to make sure that Hey Dirt Pete, he has no reason to dance whilst inside the cage. We preview the Miners after the break.
Mental health affects us all, whether you finish first or last.
Whether you win or lose.
The stigma around these issues causes those around us to suffer in silence.
Mental health is nothing to be ashamed of.
You are not alone.
You are not alone. As a student athlete,
as a teammate,
as a friend,
we pledge to continue the conversation.
Because it matters.
Because you matter.
Stand up to the stigma.
Stand up.
Stand up.
Continue the conversation.
You are not alone.
For 25 years, Conference USA student athletes have set new standards of success. Our history includes those who are beyond competitors on the field, beyond champions in the classroom, and beyond heroes in their communities. We call them Hall of Famers. The Conference USA Hall of Fame class of 2019. Their legacies live on. To find out more about the inaugural class, visit conferenceusa.com.
He cuts upfield, touchdown FIU. Maurice Alexander makes it a 2-score game.
We're a university founded on the side of an airport, reaching new heights. It's in our DNA. And since then, we've dedicated ourselves to solving the big problems facing our community and the world. We believe that crazy startup idea isn't so crazy, that families without health care shouldn't have to go it alone. We believe we can be better prepared for the next hurricane, and that our coral reefs can be saved. And that's because, above all else, we believe in you.
This is the CUSA way. Watch us be competitive, unique, strong, and athletic. We're driven. We're passionate. We're champions. This is the CUSA way.
For 25 years, Conference USA student athletes have done things the only way that we know how, the CUSA way. In that quarter of a century, we've learned a thing or two about winning, both on and off the field. Our student athletes are more than just great athletes. They're fantastic students, and they're outstanding citizens who give back to their communities. We're committed to excellence. We are stronger together. That's the CUSA way.
Welcome back to Panther Talk Live, brought to you by GEICO. Look at Ricardo Silva. That's where we'll be once again this weekend. UTEP and FIU, 7 p.m. starts, ESPN Plus, and 7:90 a.m. the ticket. No, we've been going back and forth between Plus and 3. We're on the Plus this weekend. UTEP they're taking a trip to FIU after the bye week. All right, let's preview the Miners as we preview the opponents every week. UTEP coach coming in 1-4 on the season. Some tough schedule as well to go with it. I think they're at Texas Tech in their second game. Their win, first game of the season against Houston Baptist, were able to come out with a victory, 36-34 in that game. But they got a dual QB system. They alternate between Brandon Jones and Kai Loxley. Jones has been efficient through the air at times. What's your initial impressions of what you've seen from UTEP?
Yeah, well, one of the things, we'll start with the defensive side of it. I mean, they are a multiple front defense. I mean, you'll see them in a 3-3 defense. You'll see them in a 4-2. You'll see them in a 4-3. They'll play a little bit of what people used to refer to as a bear defense with a nose tackle and 2-3 techniques and overhang guys. So, and they love bringing pressure. They're going to blitz. They're going to bring guys. Obviously, we're watching a little bit here of the running game, and Loxley at the quarterback is unbelievably dangerous, AJ. I mean, this is a young man on the quarterback power. Of people that watched NFL football yesterday and they saw Lamar Jackson rush for 152 yards, that's the similar type of thing that UTEP is using him in. When he's in the game, you know, it's going to be run, it's going to be quick throwing game, and then obviously, you know, they're big and physical in the offensive line. So it's going to be, you know, it's a team that we haven't played. We haven't played in the previous 2 years, so we got to do a lot of extra work coaching-wise and with the players to familiarize ourselves with all of the things that they're capable of doing. Who's the most explosive wide receivers?
Yeah.
Well, who's the guy that's the best runner? What are they going to do in short yardage? And they've got a mixture of a lot of philosophies, because you'll see them in empty formations, and you'll see them with 2 tight ends and 2 tackles in the backfield as the fullback and the off blocker, and they'll run power and they'll try to bloodden your nose. And so we just got to get familiar with everything that they do, and I think our kids and coaches, you know, will get a jump start on it today.
Certainly not maybe the rushing attack that Charlotte has, but you look at their running game, they're led by Trayvon Hughes, and on the season, 5 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns on the season, so he's found his way to the end zone, as he saw in a couple of those clips, and has 314 yards this season. How does a game like this and facing Benny LeMay maybe translate to another game like this in UTEP? But also you've talked about, you know, they might load the box a lot more with those 2 tackles or the 2 tight end sets.
Yeah, you know what, AJ, basically, I mean, almost everybody you play in college football, there's going to be a huge, gigantic difference every single week. I mean, there's some carryover when people get into maybe the third down situations, and they'll get in what we refer to as 11 personnel, a tight end, 3 wide receivers, or 10 personnel, 4 wideouts. The rest of it, with everybody in America, I mean, it is multi-formations. It's how do they feel like they can use their personnel the very best to attack your defense, and vice versa. How can they put pressure on the quarterback and stop the run? So, you know, it puts the pressure on the coaching staff to do the familiarity as to, you know, when you play somebody all of the time, you kind of know who their high-profile players are.
No doubt,
When you play somebody new, you got to get familiar with those guys, and you can see the plays here where they're having explosive plays, and they have played a very, very difficult schedule. They played Nevada, and Nevada is a very, very good football team this year. Texas Tech is a good football team. They were in a knockdown drag-out with Southern Miss, and unfortunately a couple of busted coverages gave Southern Miss some big explosive plays because they about shut Southern Miss's running game completely down.
Yeah.
They struggled in the running game just simply because of the three-man line and then the slants that they do, the blitzes and the bringing the guys. And when you've got 5 guys that are in the secondary level, not deep, but secondary, you got to know from a protection standpoint which of those 5 guys are coming. They bring in 2 off the strong side, 2 off the weak side, guys on the inside. So blitz pickup and stuff with the quarterback and the offensive line is going to be a big challenge this week.
This is Coach Dimmel's latest rebuilding project, if you will. He was the youngest coach in D1 football in the late 90s, I think, when he took the Wyoming job. Was 34 years old. Went on to be the head coach at Houston for a couple of years after that. Kind of settled into an offensive coordinator role. Didn't feel the urge to be a head coach for a little bit, but he saw UTEP and said, I want to try another rebuilding project. They went 0-12 2 seasons ago, 1-11 last year. They have 1 win right now. Last winning season 2014, but he's trying to build a culture right now, and so every single game, every single week, so vitally important. Last week, we're able to stay competitive against UTSA. A 10-point loss, nothing to be ashamed of there. What stood out to you on tape?
Well, obviously, I mean, you look at one of the things is fundamentally how sound are they? Is it a team that just literally they're totally unsound? These guys aren't. I mean, when you see it, if they get beat, it's because maybe the guy that beat them on a route in the secondary, the receiver was a little bit better of a player. It wasn't because they didn't know what they were doing, and they make some good sideline adjustments, and they put out the fire in some of the games that I've watched so far, and I haven't seen them all. I've watched the last 3.
Yeah.
But what you see is that in the first quarter, when somebody's having success, that goes away. I mean, they go to the sidelines and their coaches are making adjustments. We're going to get into this front, and the thing too, AJ, when teams play multiple defensive fronts, it takes a lot of practice time and a lot of effort. Just making sure that you are sound not only in your blocking schemes for your running game, but certainly on the protections on your offensive line and the tight ends and the running backs.
Well, you're taking a look at a lot of the tape in the film, but I know what you're not looking at is the record. Each and every week. Doesn't matter the 1-3. They're going to bring their best effort here to FIU and try to knock us off here. Ricardo Silva again, ESPN Plus Saturday night, 7 p.m. and 7:90 a.m. the ticket. All right, as we go to break, in case you missed it last night, we want to make sure you don't miss this. FIU soccer went into last night's game at Kentucky undefeated. We'll play the clip here. They remain undefeated. 89th minute, final minute of the match, flicked in by Mohamed Kandi on the road at Kentucky, who hadn't lost at home in nearly 2 years. Folks, the Panthers are undefeated. They're back home on Friday, hosting 5th-ranked Charlotte in what might be the biggest regular season match in the history of the program. So if you don't have weekend plans, I'm giving you Friday and Saturday night's plans. Friday at the soccer stadium, Saturday at Ricardo Silva. There you go. 3 goals past the 85th minute to win the last 3 matches. You got to see them play. You got to see FIU football play. We'll see you at the Cage Saturday night. Back after this for the top 5 and Twitter questions. We're Show the People. Back after this.
For 25 years, Conference USA student athletes have set new standards of success. Our history includes those who are beyond competitors on the field, beyond champions in the classroom, and beyond heroes in their communities. We call them Hall of Famers. The Conference USA Hall of Fame class of 2019. Their legacies live on. To find out more about the inaugural class, visit conferenceusa.com.
He cuts upfield, touchdown FIU. Maurice Alexander makes it a 2-score game.
We're a university founded on the side of an airport, reaching new heights. It's in our DNA. And since then, we've dedicated ourselves to solving the big problems facing our community and the world. We believe that crazy startup idea isn't so crazy, that families without health care shouldn't have to go it alone. We believe we can be better prepared for the next hurricane, and that our coral reefs can be saved. And that's because, above all else, we believe in you.
This is the CUSA way. Watch us be competitive, unique, strong, and athletic. We're driven. We're passionate. We're champions. This is the CUSA way.
For 25 years, Conference USA student athletes have done things the only way that we know how, the CUSA way. In that quarter of a century, we've learned a thing or two about winning, both on and off the field. Our student athletes are more than just great athletes. They're fantastic students, and they're outstanding citizens who give back to their communities. We're committed to excellence. We are stronger together. That's the CUSA way.
Well, this is where I'm going to make my way in about 15 minutes, Coach. The always there for you, Pollo Tropical. And then I'm going to make my way about 10 feet to the left and make my way to the Cafe Bustelo. It's always serving up the best cafecito in town. And then I'm going to make, no, I'm just kidding. Those are the only two spots. Those are the only two
Then you're
spots
going to make your way to the weight room and get a little exercise.
I probably should. Or get a run-in or something of the sort. Where's your go-to chain restaurant? There's so many great family restaurants. Where's your go-to chain? I just mentioned two big chains right there. Waffle House?
I mean, there's a lot of places. I like Famous Dave's Barbecue.
Okay,
I think
Famous
that's really
Dave's.
good.
Yeah.
I go to Chipotle. I go to Chicken Kitchen. I go to Pollo Tropical. So there's a lot of things that you try to get.
You can't go wrong with Chipotle unless they're having the little food contamination issues. But usually you can't go you can't go wrong with it. Wrapping things up here on Panther Talk Live. Glad to have you with us again. This Saturday, if you watch the Lebitard show, we might have Billy Gill on this Saturday. There's some Twitter discussions going on right now, some contract negotiations, but we might have Guillermo in the broadcast booth Saturday. So keep your ears peeled. We'll confirm that. He's a big supporter of the program. We talked about him before. He was the pole vaulter here. So maybe we'll have him in the booth Saturday. It should be a lot of fun. All right, Twitter questions. We got about 3 or 4 of them. Let's take a look at what we've got today. Our first Twitter question, I think, comes from John Machado. Let's bring that probably up. What we got here? Good morning, John. All right, Coach Davis, what's been the difference in the play of the O-line the past 3 games, maybe compared to the start of the season? I know we talked about a switch with Dallas and Shane, and a doubled-up question here, Napoleon Maxwell's leadership as well, and one of those senior running backs. So O-line play and Napoleon Maxwell's leadership.
Yeah, well, the O-line, obviously, one of the things that's really important is guys have to play together.
Yeah.
I mean, once they get the unity so that they communicate, where the left guard talks to the left tackle and the centers pointing out who the protections is, so we had to stick in Shaquille Williams and Mershawn Miller as the 2 guys that play the right guard, and now all of a sudden Devontae Taylor is the starting right tackle. So that's basically 3 guys that are playing in that didn't play that much last year.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden they need to play. That's why you wish in college, you had exhibition games where you could get 2 or 3 really games, get them all on the same page. But we knew talent-wise they had it, the ability-wise they had it. They just needed to play together, and they're playing at a higher level. They're pushing each other, and I think they're communicating, and they're really doing a good job the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I was watching a national game this week, and the analyst was just flat out saying, look, the offensive line might be the hardest unit of a team to really get to gel together.
5 guys.
5 is 1.
I mean, you've got to get 5 guys all in a box, all got to be on the same page.
Yeah, and then Napoleon Maxwell, again, one of the senior. We talked about Anthony early in the show. Napoleon was running guys over this weekend and brings energy on the sideline. He's a leader.
I mean, he got to the secondary level. I mean, safeties and guys like that, they were a little bit intimidated about making the tackle. They were trying to go below the knee. But one of the things, and we pointed it out yesterday in our team when we showed the special teams, he also plays big roles on special teams.
Yeah.
He plays on kickoff return. He plays on the punt team. He's our adjuster. And yesterday on one of the deals, he did a flying down the field, and a guy tried to block him. I mean, he chucked the guy, knocked him over, and got down there, and it was the play where Tommy had the only punt of the game.
Yeah, he didn't get a lot of run this week.
The ball went on the ground and stuff, and we had a chance to get the ball inside the 10-yard line, but it was just great coverage and stuff, and you just love Napoleon when they embrace doing things that you don't get a lot of notoriety for, and they do it to the best level. It really sets an expectation for the younger players.
Yeah, you love on special teams when younger players who don't get a lot of burn, hustling, getting after on special teams, but you also really love when your starters are getting after it on special teams.
You take a look at it, like, Ike Brown and Stanley Thomas are 2 starting corners. They play a lot on some of the special teams. Now, at times we try to get them a rest and get other guys in to play for them, but they're their starters. They're the guys that's going to go out and set the standard. You get Napoleon Maxwell, he's playing on it. We got a lot of kids that are, Jamal Gates and Daniel Jackson, 2 starters and linebackers. They play on the punt team, so it's a very, very important part of our program to get our starters to commit on special teams.
No doubt about it, and it shows through. All right, Eddie Hansall, long-time listener, long-time caller, with another contribution to the show. Good to see you, Eddie. Congrats on another solid win, Coach. How beneficial is it having these transfer players becoming eligible? We were talking about it a little earlier and wondering about their role the rest of the way.
Yeah, well, obviously the role will expand a little bit. They'll get more playing time now that they get a chance to practice during the week. And it really is, AJ, I mean, one of the things that's really made a big difference is it's added to the depth. One of the things, obviously, in the Tulane game, you know, several of those guys weren't even available.
Yeah.
We weren't even practicing. They were on the scout team. And once we found out that they were going to get their eligibility, then you start working them into practice and you give them opportunities. And now it helps your depth, and it helps maybe take some of the starters, maybe not as many reps on special teams, because now you can play other guys in there.
Yeah, guys going all out, maybe 25 to 30 plays rather than having to weather the storm for 45
to 50 plays.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
big
a big difference. Oh, absolutely. Especially if you're in the defensive line where Chris Whitaker and Alexi Baptiste, because those guys, you think about it, they rush the passer 6, 7, 8 yards. The ball's thrown wherever it's thrown. It doesn't matter if it's a 5-yard pass. They're turning and they're sprinting 20, 30 yards.
Yeah.
That's like doing 20, 30, 40 sprints 50 times a game, you know? So there's a lot of energy spent in the defensive line.
There's a play when Charlotte's quarterback, Chris Reynolds, was flushed out of the pocket and was making his way towards the sideline. And then all of a sudden, Coach, there was big old Tierre Tart, there's Chris Whitaker, and Alexi Jean-Baptiste, all on a beeline towards Reynolds. And Kenny Kelly said, if I was Reynolds, I would have been sprinting the other way out the stadium.
Yeah, exactly.
Three former SEC guys making their way to him.
Well, that's what we want. I mean, we want the defensive line to be physical at the point of attack, but they got to fly. I mean, in today's offense, you know, the ball's going to be in the perimeter a lot, so you got to take care of your responsibilities, make sure you do that, and then become part of the pursuit.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, next Twitter question comes from CFB Campus Tour. So he's a national guy. His goal is to visit every single FBS tailgate and game. So it was great to have you here this weekend. And a shout out to our OC, Coach Skrosky. So the offense put up 500 plus 3 straight games, not relying solely on pass or run. Great analysis. Great to have his CFB Campus Tour. Seems like Rich is in a great rhythm on the play calling.
Yeah, I tell you, AJ, I mean, we're very, very fortunate to have Rich for several reasons. One, he's a former head coach.
Yeah.
He's been an offensive coordinator before he became a head coach. But his work with the staff on offense, I mean, he talks to Aubrey Hill, he talks to Tim Harris, he talks to Drew Davis, he talks to Alan Mogridge, and they all come up with game plans of like, what's the best mismatches? How can we put the other team, whether it's formations, personnel grouping, and they collectively come up with it. And then Rich does just really an excellent job in making the calls of setting things up. If you're a really good offensive coordinator, you're thinking 2, 3, 4 plays down the line that if we do this and it's successful, we do this, and that sets this play up. And then, you know, him schematically to try to make sure that everybody that we have offensively, put them in the best position, in the best formation, and create the best mismatch that you can, whether it's a tight end maybe on a corner, a tight end on a safety, and a wide receiver maybe on a linebacker, where the speed and the agility is completely different. And now you get those mismatches where you go, well, how's this guy, you know, 7 yards wide open? Well, it's because, you know, the corner wasn't covering the wide receiver. We had the safety or we had a linebacker covering him.
And how many times do you see Tony Gator going back and forth and back across the line in pre-snap motion, and Devontae Price taking different angles, and he talked about how those mismatches getting guys open.
Sure.
Shamar Thornton may not have a touchdown reception as wide open as he had the rest of his career. I mean, there was no one around him.
Yeah, I know it. I mean, that's one of those things. I mean, it was a great catch. And it was good. You know, he is, you know, last year, he came in as a backup, and the second half of the season became a starter. And I think he gained an awful lot of confidence and experience getting a chance to play at the end of last season.
Yeah.
And then he got it nicked up a little bit. Now he's coming back, and we're starting to see him play to the same level that he played last year.
And to have him contribute in the fashion that he is with Singleton getting back healthy, that's terrific. In replacement of Bryce Singleton, obviously, is another guy who makes one-handed stabs himself from FAU last year. Shamar said, oh, anything you can do, I could do better. You saw that one-handed grab in the Tulane game. All right, last Twitter question here comes from RJ. Again, noting the offense and the tendencies he analyzed, saw a little bit of hurry up in that game against Charlotte. Is something you saw on tape? You want to get the guys quick tempo. I mean, every team wants to play with tempo, but you certainly did it well against Charlotte.
Yeah, well, obviously, some of that has to do with you've got them locked into a personnel group, and you know exactly who they are. and they can't substitute. They can't get a pass rusher in. They can't get a run stopper in, and you just get on the ball. And also, obviously, you take a look at, does it help you because they don't have much depth? And you can keep those guys, especially, and this is one of the things that hurt us enormously in 2017, a little bit last year, is not having enough depth in the defensive line, and all of a sudden people going fast tempo, and those guys, 310-pound defensive tackles, they're not really ready to go and play 11, 12, 13, 14 plays. You got to try to get those substitutes. So there's a lot of, ideas behind why you go at certain fast tempos, and, Rich does a great job of knowing exactly the period of the game when to do that.
I think it's hard to really understand, unless you've been on that field, how hard it is to go all out for 50 plays in the pads when a team is playing tempo.
And
it's not easy.
Obviously, there's a 40-second clock, then the 25-second clock, but if you're snapping the ball every 12, 13 seconds, and you're back on the ball, there's not a lot of rest and there's not a lot of communication, and sometimes the signals from the sideline, maybe they don't get lined up exactly right. You can take an opportunity to make an explosive play.
Appreciate you guys sending in your Twitter questions as well. Feel free to comment on Facebook next week. We're trying to get a little both of those platforms. A lot of engagement this week. Thanks for asking those Twitter questions. Before we get to the top 5, Coach, I mentioned the homecoming record of yours, 11-1 now, I think, maybe 12. I got to double check. Perhaps one of the best homecoming records in all of college football. Remember your high school homecoming? It was Will Rogers, or were you 4-0 in high school? How did those go?
I don't know. I think maybe so. We may have won all the homecoming.
Wasn't that long ago? It was only in 1991.
It's homecoming. You want to make everybody happy on homecoming. You want them to say, hey, this is a great experience. I'm going to come again.
We were talking. I was looking down the list. I saw a win against William and Mary. Brent Renner was on your team at Carolina. He said, I think it was only 21-17. He said, I don't know if we were taking them as seriously as we should.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, William and Mary is one of those programs that
right? Aren't they?
Absolutely.
They'll knock you off real quick.
They can be a team that can upset the
just like New Hampshire did, out of the FCS, no doubt about it. All right, let's do our top 5 players of the week. A lot of fun this past Saturday night. Ricardo Silva on homecoming. Top plays, the helmets look strong. Love the stripe. Might see some variations of that the rest of the way. Number 5, again, like we said last week, he's back. Kalen Wiggins, nice package there for the touchdown.
It was good getting Kalen. I think, he got to play later in the game and stuff, and he brings a complete dimension to the offense that a lot of teams, it makes them have to work on it. They got to spend time. They got to practice because they don't know, is he going to play 10 plays or 30 plays? And, he's just a terrific athlete, made a good read.
He's got the other defense in the film room a little bit longer. Mad Max running people over. Get out of the way. This was a poor decision by the defensive back.
No kidding. Let me tell you something. You run physical like that, and obviously he gets an additional 5-6 yards at the end of it. But he is, Napoleon is just a phenomenally good football player. You love, how about big 335-pound Lindell Hudson downfield blocking that.
Laying those blocks.
And
Lindell Hudson.
They
got the cheerleaders out.
Oh, I thought they were playing. Okay.
Tony Gator, coach, the good old yards after catch.
Well, we just talked about it earlier in the show. Is our receivers have done a phenomenal job catching and protecting the football and being secure with it, and then adding yards after the catch. This right here, the guy's got him horse collared, and now all of a sudden he adds an additional almost 15 yards to the play. Explosive. Tony's just one of the most dependable guys that you've ever been able to coach.
Got an extra 12 yards after pressing the B button. Alexi G, and there was no question where the ball was going, and he knew.
Yeah, he comes off the edge. He's got the athletic ability to cancel out the quarterback on all of his quarterback powers and quarterback sweeps and stuff. Does a great job. And then obviously the insecurity of the ball security by the quarterback, he gets a strip, and it led to a good touchdown.
He read that.
Look at him
perfectly.
Yeah.
Reynolds had
great job. And look at all the blue jerseys flying to the
surrounding.
That's what I like.
Kenny Kelly summed it up pretty quickly after this 43-yard dash to the end zone from Anthony Jones. Man, that boy fast. 4 touchdowns, ties a couple guys for the record.
Our running backs get to that second level, and I don't know if they're going to show an end zone copy of this, but I'm going to tell you what, AJ, you could have scored running through that
I sure
hole
could
right
have.
there.
Absolutely.
That was a gaping hole. Great job of the offensive line, the tight ends. They did a phenomenal job creating, getting him clear into the second.
That offensive line starting to develop some chemistry, Coach. And that's pretty exciting to see, paving the way. I think the 4th most rushing yards in a single game in FIU history. Set at the top of the show. A lot of program records being set or met the past 2 weeks, and it's really exciting to see. All right, let's wrap things up for the football portion. When we come back, we'll have Tierra Malcolm. But, Coach, final thoughts moving into UTEP week, a chance to win this 3-game homestand with 3 consecutive wins before Middle Tennessee, starting to get into a little bit of a good verve.
The big message yesterday to the team after we watched all the film, and we had a little bit of a light practice for the guys that didn't play, but the message was we're 0-0.
Yep.
Okay? This is 1 week season, play, prepared. Everything that we have done the last 2 weeks, we need to raise the notch. Don't just do what you did last week. Do more than what you did last week. Focus, watching film, getting treatment, working to make sure that we show up and on Saturday that we play with the very best of our ability.
Yeah, the mindset of 1-0 weeks ingrained. No doubt about it. That's the philosophy. Coach, a lot of fun this past week. Thank you.
AJ.
Yes, sir. All right, we'll be back with Tierra Malcolm after this. You're watching Panther Talk live at the Graham Center.
We're a university founded on the side of an airport, reaching new heights. It's in our DNA. And since then, we've dedicated ourselves to solving the big problems facing our community and the world. We believe that crazy startup idea isn't so crazy, that families without health care shouldn't have to go it alone. We believe we can be better prepared for the next hurricane, and that our coral reefs can be saved. And that's because, above all else, we believe in you.
This is the CUSA way. Watch us be competitive, unique, strong, and athletic. We're driven. We're passionate. We're champions. This is the CUSA way.
For 25 years, Conference USA student athletes have done things the only way that we know how, the CUSA way. In that quarter of a century, we've learned a thing or two about winning, both on and off the field. Our student athletes are more than just great athletes. They're fantastic students, and they're outstanding citizens who give back to their communities. We're committed to excellence. We are stronger together. That's the CUSA way.
It ain't about anybody else. This is about us.
He cuts upfield, touchdown FIU. Maurice Alexander makes it a 2-score game.
For 25 years, Conference USA student athletes have set new standards of success. Our history includes those who are beyond competitors on the field, beyond champions in the classroom, and beyond heroes in their communities. We call them Hall of Famers. The Conference USA Hall of Fame class of 2019. Their legacies live on. To find out more about the inaugural class, visit conferenceusa.com.
Mental health affects us all.
Whether you finish first or last.
Whether you win or lose.
The stigma around these issues causes those around us to suffer in silence.
Mental health is nothing to be ashamed of.
You are not alone.
You are not alone. As a student athlete,
As a teammate,
As a friend,
We pledge to continue the conversation.
because it matters.
because you matter.
stand up to the stigma.
Stand up.
Stand up.
Continue the conversation.
You are not alone.
It ain't about anybody else. This is about us.
He cuts upfield, touchdown FIU. Maurice Alexander makes it a 2-score game.
What's up? Welcome back. Beautiful day at FIU, always is. Still the summertime temps. Maybe head to the beach this afternoon. Coach Malcolm's not heading to the beach. He's got some preparation to do for hoop season. Hoop season right around the corner, to be cliche. Glad to have you with us on Panther Talk Live. AJ Ricketts, Tierra Malcolm. Coach, less than a month till it all gets going. The games start counting. I know you've got some puzzle pieces to put together, as I said, some new pieces, but that's really exciting for you. But what have you seen in the first couple official practices here? And glad to have you on the program again.
Yeah, well, first, thank you for having me. It's good to be back.
Yeah.
I've just been kind of commenting that we've had different people step up in different practices, so it's promising because now we see that there are different pieces, different areas where we can score from. From the wing, we're able to kind of get the ball inside and be able to attack there from a little bit. So we're going to be more well-rounded this season than I feel like we've been in recent history.
You were mentioning to me during the break how excited you are about a couple of those newcomers that are here in the program. Talk about a few of them. What have you seen out of the freshmen or transfers into the program?
Well, I think Giselle Thomas is probably the biggest one. I know she's itching to get back on the floor.
I'm sure, yeah.
She sat out all of last year, but she's starting to kind of get her groove back again, which is really good after having sat out for a full season. So she's going to offer us something that we haven't had in a while, and that's just, a guard that's pretty dynamic from the wing with the ability to score and really put some pressure on people defensively.
Yeah, and then in terms of returners, certainly you have a lot of young pieces on the team, but you do have some vets with experience that have been through the grind that can serve as leaders of this program. Chelsea Gumara is one of those people, transferred from Georgia Tech a couple of years ago, has now been a part of this roster. Briocha Scott, Paulo Arenas. What have they offered, and what do you see out of them in terms of their leadership and what they can bring to you on the court?
I think when it's when you know that this is kind of it's your senior year, it becomes more of a sense of urgency to kind of really get things done. But just from Chelsea, from her standpoint of last year was her first year just returning and having a full season of play. Seeing her be more aggressive, being more assertive on the court. She's always been that voice, but now she's adding to it of being able to be aggressive and kind of carry us offensively a little bit, especially inside.
She's a fascinating player to watch. And last year, I think we talked about it a couple times on the show. She always seems to be in the right place at the right time. And there would be some games when she wasn't able to execute after that. And then there were some where she was draining threes, running the high-low, putting up 20-plus point games. You would expect to see a little bit more consistency out of her and with another year in the program.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things that really attracted us to Chelsea is her high basketball IQ.
Yeah.
And now, with just her having that year under her belt with and becoming familiar with some of her teammates with the offensive system that we're trying to run, I see her having even more success with it this season.
Yeah, no doubt about it. She's going to be fun to watch down low, and also maybe the pick and pop a little bit, see her get the three off. I don't know how often you want her doing that.
A little bit.
Always a little cautious when the bigs start to get outside the perimeter.
Yeah.
You got some new staff additions as well. Talk about your additions to the staff and how excited you are to bring them aboard.
I'm really excited. Brianna Finch is obviously a veteran coach.
Yeah.
She's been at a number of places, most recently right up the road at Division II school. But she's had head coaching experience at the junior college level, overseas, and she's been a great addition to our program just because of her. She understands how to really, truly break down the game with our players.
Yeah.
I know a lot of them have been into her office watching film and, just kind of having little chalk talks. And I always think that that's good. Anytime we can enhance their basketball IQ or their basketball experience without them having to be on the court and kind of take some of the pounding away from their legs to do that. So she's been really good with that. And then Michael Panaggio, he was most recently a high school coach, high school in AAU. And he's been really good. He's really into skill development, and I can see it translating to our players when they get on the court. Just, that skill base getting, kind of being built up.
Yeah. Coach, once the regular season ends, I mean, you're certainly spending a little bit of time on South Beach, but not the whole entire offseason. A coach's summer is packed, jam-packed. A coach's off-season is not really an off-season, whether it's the recruiting grind or bringing in new players, staff, evaluation, whatever it may be. Tell us about this past off-season, what you spent doing, and how it furthers the program. What was this off-season spent with?
Well, for me, I went on my first cruise.
Oh, there you go. Where'd you go?
Bahamas.
Nice.
Very short one. I think it was one of those ones you leave on Friday, you come back on.
3 day,
Yeah, you come back on
that gets the job
Monday
done.
morning. What else did I do?
Any other vacations? Any trips? I know you're at a lot of recruiting tournaments.
I went to Portugal.
Okay.
I took my parents.
In Portugal. Don't forget about the Portugal trip.
I took my parents to Portugal. It was my mom's first time out of the country.
Wow.
So she really enjoyed herself, and Dad did too.
Sure, I'm sure. What'd you think of it? You recommend it?
It was beautiful. I mean, I actually lived there for 9 months, so just kind of recalling those memories for myself.
Kind of full circle there.
Yeah, and introducing them to experience. So.
Yeah, I might need to look at. We got the port of Miami right there. I need to utilize that place more often.
Talk.
I'll give you some recommendations. But I know you're on the summer circuit too. You know, evaluate. Just take us through that process of what it was like for you and how confident you are. What improvements you think you've made and what you've learned. A coach is always learning, whether it's from other coaches, your mentors. Take us through that process.
Well, July is obviously a huge month of just being on the road and recruiting. I mean, we go 7 straight days, and then you get 10 days off, where you're coming back and you're practicing with your team,
sure.
and you're doing team building things, and then you go back out for another 7 days. But I think as coaches, if you really do it the right way, obviously you're out evaluating, but you take it as a time to, you know, the person you're sitting next to, hey, what do you do for rebounding drills? How do you work on, you know, finishing at the rim?
Sure, yeah.
So just taking that and picking coaches' brain, veteran coaches that are new in the game, because I think that we all are valuable and have something to offer.
Well, we're looking forward to the season. Less than 30 days. I know you're probably counting down. Some of those players and transfers are too. They're ready to go. Good to have you on Panther Talk again. We'll see you out practice soon. Been busy with football, but I'll come out to practice here soon and see the team. Literally looking forward to what women's basketball has to offer this year. All right, that wraps things up on Panther Talk Live. All right, Friday nights, FIU soccer hosting 5th-ranked Charlotte. We need you out there. Let's sell out the stadium. Saturday nights, UTEP FIU on ESPN+. Big weekend of events. Let's make it a great week, fam. See you next time.